says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you loving is the one you loving?
And I don't know. Are you a disciple of the Umar Johnson?
The Pan-African prince. Ifatunde speaks with the bars. What did he say that wasn't true? What did he say that wasn't true?
Listen, let me tell you, it's complicated. It's so complicated because there's so many people out here saying things. You know, like you could listen to, you know, Ice Cube and be like, yeah, he got a point. You know, you could listen to Dr. Cornel West. It's like, yes, I want to vote for. You know, it's like there's so many people saying things, and it's just that.
But
and he was.
Here's my take on him. He's more right than he is wrong. He's not always right. He's not always right, but he's more right than he is wrong.
Wait, first of all, who's always right?
Well, people want people to be always right. That's the
who is always right?
No one is
right. No. So let's just deal with that premise.
But people live in that fantasy, though. People live inside that fantasy. They think the people that they like are always right. That's what we do, we as people. But when it comes to him, though, I respect his voice, and I think that there is a need for a voice like his. It's a need for that. It brings balance, insight from a perspective that's really becoming marginalized. Firm Black man shouting about Black love and love for Black people. It's being pushed to the margins.
I agree with you in terms of there being a need for any educated voice. I also think that, you know, sometimes people speak outside. Like if there's a subject that I don't know about, I'm going to bring on an expert, you know, like I'm not going, you know, I have an opinion, of course, and I read enough, but there are things that I don't like the Supreme Court. There's a bunch of Supreme Court cases today, 8-1, whatever. I'm not going to, you know, try to suss it out. I don't have a law degree. I ain't studied it. I didn't read the 76 pages. I didn't read the dissent. But people be out here just talking about it. So tomorrow in class with Carr, I'm going to be like Dr. Carr, who actually has a whole ass legal degree. He was just in office hours with Angie Porter. He's going to break down some things because I'm not going to do that, right? And I feel like sometimes people speak out of their depth, getting back to what Roger was saying. But I agree with you on this. Dr. Umar is totally right. And but this is his area, right? He specializes in child psychology and, like you said, black people, Pan-Africanism, all of that, right? That's the thing he's been doing for the better
wheelhouse.
Part of
yeah.
Yes. And so but I think that they didn't expect that because there's a whole.
He was good. He was good in this instance. Overall, I'm not really a huge fan of his. I think a lot of times he says really like this. Like it's one thing to be wrong, but like he digs in on some wrong stuff. Like he thinks homosexuality is a conspiracy the white man put into the Black community and stuff. Like I'm like, bro, you got calm down. Like that's a lot. But I love this clip. Like I didn't see it coming. I think that's one of the reasons it works is because most of us have seen him kind of like go in sometimes a little harder on the sisters than the dudes, and it's like, is this like another way that you just kind of want to like crap on Black women, but then disguise it as like upliftment? And them brothers was ready for him to do that. And he flipped the entire script and was like, if you the man you say you are.
Right, I got it. I got the clip. I got the clip. So we ain't got to paraphrase.
Play that.
Play that, Smiz.
Where the lawyer at? Where the business owner at? Where your city council person at? We abandon Black boys and then we blame Black men for poor choices in mates that they should not even have to make if we did a better job raising our boys the right way. At the end of the day, if I'm gonna call myself a man, the ultimate responsibility for reconstruction of the Black community rests with me. Yes, they have a role. Yes, they have responsibility. But as a man, as a leader, to say I can't fix this shit unless she changes, that's not the definition of a man.
I don't see. I think we're on two different accords. Like, I don't think we're saying that. What I'm saying is I'm capable of being that leader, that provider. I've worked hard in my life. You get what I'm saying? I should not have to do.
You still go back to individual.
But I only feel like we tell Black men that we have to now deal with masculine women with children.
Why is she masculine? because she's had to raise the kids alone. Not one woman,
So you mean
brother,
to tell me-
a whole community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I could look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men?
No,
That's what I have to look forward to.
but I'm telling you, mistakes made by black men systemically gave rise to the conditions that allowed her to be masculine and made her end up with a man that you consider to be less than what he should be. And I'm telling you, black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children.
I am
and
not.
when I say help them raise them children, I don't mean you as the stepdad.
No, yeah.
I mean you as an active member in
Definitely.
the community
Yeah.
where we go to every single parent, black mother, and say, how many sons you got? 2? How many sons you got? 2? Well, guess what? That's your son's big brother. That's your son's big brother. He taking them to school. He doing the homework. He gonna spend a couple hours with him every Saturday. He got his own kids too, but he gonna make time for you. She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence, the disappointments that men had in her life, and also raising those kids and have to take care of herself all at the same time. The black woman has been the be all in all in our community for half of a century. And now we want to turn around and say because she didn't do it perfectly enough or remain feminine enough when she had to absorb our responsibilities plus her own, that's insensitive and disingenuous.
Bars.
Yo, the world is ending. 866-801-8255.
You just
Well,
spit
Malcolm X did say the black woman is the most disrespected person in society. Like Malcolm said that, right? And
Yeah.
it was refreshing, because to have to battle, and I mean the fights, the weird things that are happening with this, whole Kevin Samuels spawn. It's just it's really disheartening, because it's like
It's also good.
Well, hold on. I often say there shouldn't be a community in this country where anybody should feel unsafe. And I often say I was talking to Gina Yashere this week, and she said she joined the Nation of Islam in England, right? And I remember when I was out covering Mosque number 7 in Harlem. I remember hanging out with Khalid Muhammad. Like there was a period of time when I was, in that space. And I remember feeling not just honored as a woman, hey, sister, beautiful. It was like this very, I felt safe and protected. Do you know what I'm saying? Which we all want to feel safe and protected. And I didn't feel like nothing was going to pop off. Like I didn't feel like nothing was going to happen. I've been at rallies and things. I was not worried. Because Fruit of Islam were there right after Puffy's thing at the City College when all those people got killed, being crushed to death. The Fruit of Islam came to handle the security in the aftermath of that. And I remember like, oh, it's gonna be okay. There is this notion of like that kind of protection doesn't exist. There should be no drugs overrunning any community where Black people are. Period. That's how I feel. I do. I feel that way. But y'all could dispute it.
Nah, it's not a dispute. I ride with you. But at the same time, like his statement and your statement just now, not to make excuses or have justification, but it's leaving out a lot though. It's leaving out a lot of, he used the word systemic, and it's leaving out a lot of the causes for that environment. And what's changed the shape of the Black family over the last 60 years.
We can talk about the welfare system. We could talk about a lot of things, right? I had this conversation yesterday with Jared Lodeholt over, this affirmative action case. And I was like, why are we trying to get into these schools? He's like, because we pay taxes and we should have the right. And he's absolutely right. I'm not negating that there's a system of racism that for 400 plus years indoctrinated us into this anti-Blackness, anti each other on purpose. Like it's all built in, but when you know better, you do better. And I just also know that it was a period of time when we didn't have the dangers in our neighborhood. We just talked about a couple of weeks ago, the decimation of Black Wall Street, but there were thousands of at least hundreds, Wilmington, North Carolina, Rosewood, Florida, all up in Cleveland, Ohio, and places, Black thriving communities, Eatonville, like where there was not a crime, there was not a whole lot of, I just talked to a 109-year-old woman. There was no crime in Tulsa, Oklahoma when she was growing up as a 7-year-old. Why?
Yeah.
Because we all had a commitment to the community. after slavery. So all of that indoctrination somehow took a break, right? At some point we like, oh, we are free. Let's go build communities. And that's all we did, right? Was build communities. I'm not saying it was perfect. Some people still carried that, but something else, we allow for that to happen. And I don't know, if the rap that came in, like we allowed.
Oh yeah, we were infiltrated. It was the
we
nation.
allowed that though, because at some point, the first time you calling me a bitch and a hoe in a song, stop. Somebody in the community is like, no.
I think also the reason that the systemic stuff doesn't come up in that conversation is because it's kind of turned about as fair play, because those guys were expecting to sit there and ignore the systemic issues for Black women and be like, it's all Black women's fault. The community would be better if Black women would have stepped up and just did the right things and be feminine and don't have sex and don't have children. And so Dr. Umar said, let's take the same thing and point it at you and take away all systemic excuses and make it all personal responsibility issues. Why didn't you step up? Why aren't you a leader? Why aren't you doing the things that you say Black women are supposed to do? And as a result of you not doing those things, you now say these things, the responsibility that Black women took on makes them unattractive. And so I think this is true, if you truly believe in Black community and Black love, it does end up, people have to take on responsibilities. I think a lot of times Black women by choice and by, circumstance have had to do it, right? It's like when you think about the community and the people that like have to sit there and take care of each other's children, mentor each other and all that stuff. But
in theory though, and again, I'm riding with you, but in theory though, I feel like there's a generation, at least one or two, that have been Black women that have been conditioned to think that that's what they're supposed to do, though, not even what they have to do. You're supposed to be in opposition to Black male authority, Black male subjection, the nature, the notion of a complementary relationship, between Black men and women. I think there's at least two generations.
Well, I think that's the issue I have with because I think, first of all, every generation of men has been told to subjugate, control, to dominate women, period, of all races. That's not a Black thing. That's just patriarchy. Women having agency, finally being able to be allowed into the workforce, just really being able to vote. After even after Black men got the right to vote, if I'm not mistaken. So
yes.
Like this is power that women are just now coming into, and power leads to choices. So now that I can have my own money and stuff, what people are seeing as rebellion is just people that didn't have the ability to have capital to rebel with. They didn't have the money and the power to say, actually, I'd rather not have a man, right? And I think for Black community, a lot of it is just always seen as like, well, Black women need to pick up the slack and take care of whatever the men aren't taking care of. And so now we have generations of women that are like, I reject that. That's not going to be my calling. And even though I've been conditioned and told that I'm supposed to be the backbone and raise the kids and pick up the slack, I'm not doing that.
As she smiles and says that she loves me. Isn't it lovely when the one you love thinks